Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Mosquito Prevention Program, brought to you by the Fort Worth Public Library and the City of Fort Worth Code Compliance Department. I am here with our presenter, Charles Langett, who is a consumer health specialist with the Fort Worth Code Compliance team. Charles is a licensed sanitarian with a Master's of Public Health degree from the University of North Texas Health Science Center, and also holds a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine degree and a Master of Science degree from Nairobi University. Charles moved to the United States 12 years ago with his family. He has 2 kids that graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in 2018 and 2020, and a third in their sophomore year at Stanford. In his free time, Charles enjoys gardening and nature walks. Thank you for joining us today, Charles, and we cannot wait to learn more about how to protect ourselves and our loved one from mosquitoes. And feel free to take it away whenever you are ready.
All right, good afternoon, and thank you so much, Katie, for inviting us to partner with you in disseminating this information on mosquito control and West Nile virus prevention. When I came over to US, I didn't know mosquito was a big problem the way it is in Africa. In Kenya, we have a big problem with malaria, which is transmitted by mosquitoes. And also in animals, we have Rift Valley fever, and then also yellow fever. And mosquito is a big problem. Looks like it's a big problem in all over the world, and it transmits so many diseases. But here at the city of Fort Worth, code compliance, we just target most of the time West Nile virus. We have other diseases that are spread by mosquito, but West Nile virus is our main target. I would like to give you a few facts on mosquito and let you know that in North America alone, we have 150 species. And out of those, 85 are found in, 86 actually are found in Texas. The last one was discovered right last year, 2019. And it's only about 10 that are of our main concern in as far as disease spread is concerned. We have like 3 or 4 diseases that are a major concern to us here in Texas. And one of them is West Nile virus. It's normally spread by one genus of Culex mosquito. And the other 3 are Zika. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Zika. There was a lot of news about Zika about 2 years ago, but it's kind of cooled down now. We have another one called chikungunya, and we have dengue fever. They're a little bit silent right now, but we are on the watch. So our main concern right now is West Nile virus. Zika, chikungunya, and dengue fever normally spread by Aedes mosquitoes. What is baffling, or what is going to surprise about mosquitoes, is that it's only the female mosquitoes that are a big danger to animals and man, because they are the only one who needs a blood meal, and they spread disease when they are looking for that blood meal. They come and get the blood meal and they leave the virus on the animal or human. I'm going to talk a little bit about the life cycle, and then a few things about the current status of West Nile virus in the city of Fort Worth. The life cycle of mosquito is very short. It takes about 7 to 10 days for a mosquito to develop from an egg into an adult. The adult mosquito, as the female, after getting a blood meal, will look for a place to lay eggs. Most of the time, they look for a place with standing water, or in the absence of standing water, whenever they drop that egg, as soon as it's exposed to moisture or to water, the egg hatch and give rise to a larvae. The singular is larva. This one normally lives in water, and it has also several stages. It molds, it changes from one form to another. And this takes place within 48 hours. They're also called wicklers, because if you go close to where they are, or if you disturb them a little bit, they wickle down to the bottom of the water for safety. And when it is quiet, the way they orientate themselves in the water is that the heads face down and the tails are on the surface. These tails have some air tubes called spiracles that help them to take air or to breathe. And then this larvae will change or develop into pupa stage in about 5 days. This pupa, they kind of like roly-poly. They kind of roll with a pole-like head and a tail. And then they also normally sit on the surface of the water, and they have some tubes for breathing that are exposed to the air. And when you disturb them or when they see any danger, they rush down to the bottom, they tumble. So they are called tumblers. It's another nickname or a common name that is normally used. It's called tumbler because they tumble down to the water to take safety. So within 2 to 3 days, this pupa will emerge into an adult, and within a short time it flies. So what normally happens is when they develop, as they emerge into adults, the males emerge fast and sit just nearby and wait for the females. As the females emerge, they mate, and now the females will look for a blood meal to develop that egg. There's a protein in the blood that the egg needs for it to fully develop. And once that one is done, it's now going to look for a place to lay that egg. That's the life cycle of a mosquito, only 7 to 10 days. So it takes a very short time. About West Nile virus, it's one of the diseases of concern here in the United States of America and here in Texas. One thing is that about 1 in 5 people, only 20% of those who are infected or those who are exposed to West Nile virus will show symptoms or signs of the disease. And we have 2 forms of this disease. It can either be mild or it can be severe. When you get mild, you'll always come down with high fever, some headache, some body aches, skin rash, swollen limb glands. And sometimes it can just go away by itself or with the help of a doctor. The infected person can be treated. But for the severe form, it's most of the time manifest with more severe signs of, like, apart from the headache and body aches, there's also stiff neck. Whoever is infected will feel like sleepy or very tired. They may also be disoriented or confused. And then this may lead to convulsions, may also lead finally to paralysis, coma, and it can lead to fatalities. This year is a very bad year for us as compared to last year. Last year we had 0 cases of West Nile virus in humans. But this year, so far, we have had 6 human cases, and 5 of them have been the neuroinvasive, which is a more severe form. And I think we had some fatalities. The West Nile virus transmission cycle is normally circulates between a mosquito and birds. That is a natural, a cycle of West Nile virus. It moves by a bite of mosquito. They bite birds, and then they develop in the mosquito, and then they bite birds and they develop. But sometimes the mosquito may stray and find an animal and spread that West Nile virus into either animals like horses. Most of the time they also get the disease, or humans. In that case, horses or animals and humans becomes dead end or hosts. Means you cannot spread it further from there. You cannot spread it from human to human, or horse to human, or the mosquito cannot pick it that way and take it to another animal. So that's why they are called dead end hosts. So mosquito is a breach factor or factor in the process. So the city of Fort Worth have developed control program guided by, most of the time, the CDC guidelines. Most of the time, our season starts sometimes in late April, and it runs all the way to end of October. Off season, I was going to show you off season. That is the months of November, December, January, February, March. That's when we normally, do the planning. We do education outreach. We also take inventory and make sure we have all the equipment we need before the season starts. So what we normally do when it is when season starts, we collect mosquito samples. You might have seen this kind of equipment. It looks simple, and most people have sometimes called, and they have called 911, thinking maybe somebody might have set a pump. So if you see them, these are City of Fort Worth mosquito traps. Right now we trap in about 71 sites, about 55 of which are neighborhood and fire stations. That's where you may see these traps. We normally set them once a week in an afternoon. Right now we're doing it either on Sunday or Monday in the afternoon, and we collect them very early the next day. So you'll only see these traps like one day or one evening. The next day you'll not see them, because we set them in the afternoon and we collect them the next morning. And we take these samples to the Tarrant County Public Health Laboratory, where they test for West Nile virus. And then when they find positives, they notify us, and in turn, we notify the residents and also all the stakeholders. And then we develop a response decision. Most of the time, we put out signs to warn residents that there were West Nile virus positive mosquito in this area, so take precautions. Also, we put out signs if we are going to spray that area. I'll come down to that, the decisions that we make, the reasons why we spray and the decision-making process. So we also respond to complaints from residents, citizens. They call and they complain that they have a heightened or increased mosquito activity. So we visit and check for any potential breeding environment for mosquitoes. Most of the time, you may have standing water around the area. So we also do larvicide, and also sometimes when required or when needed, based on the mosquito activity, we do adulticiding. I prepared this slide for you to see how active the mosquito season we have this year. This year we have had 129 positives so far in the mosquito, West Nile virus in the mosquito. And as earlier said, we've had 6 positive West Nile virus in humans. These are the sites where we set traps. As I said, we have 71 of them, but 55 are in the residential and fire stations. And the rest are normally done in the city parks and recreation areas. So this, I don't know if people can see this. This map, this is the city of Fort Worth map, and it shows all the areas where we have mosquito traps. Where you see the big red cycle, those are the areas that we have had about 4 to 7 times positive traps. And the smaller red cycles shows we have had like 3 times positive, and the smallest is where we have had 1 time positive. And as I said, this year is a little bit crazy. We have had very high numbers. Last year, we had very low as compared to this year. This year is comparable to 2015, where we had a lot of West Nile positive mosquito samples. So this is a graph that shows the number of nights that we have sprayed these sites. We have carried out 31 spray missions so far, which is so high. Last year, as I said, we had like 0 spray missions, and we only had 8 positives last year, the whole year. This year, at this time, we have, as of last week, we have a total of 129 positive samples, with, of course, that's 6 human cases. This one shows a comparison of the trends over the years from 2015 to this year. As I said, 2019, we only had 8, and we had 0 human infections. 2018, we had 48, and then the other year which we had the highest was 2015. So it's like the cycle is repeating itself after like 5 years. This is more or less the same comparison of the West Nile virus positive traps per month. This one shows us which month is the most active months in mosquito wise and also West Nile virus. The month of August has shown to be the most active one. If you look at this graph, the top line, this is the year 2020, this year. We have very high numbers. And the yellow one is 2015. And you see, it follows almost the same trend every year. It starts low in May, picks up a little bit in June, then July, August, it picks to the peak. Our peak is normally August. And September, we start seeing them, falling down. And then towards the fall and winter, when the temperatures goes down, the mosquito activity also goes down. So I had talked about this earlier, about our West Nile positive trap response plan. As I said, we get notification from the Tehran Public Health Laboratory. And once we get those notifications, we share the same information with all the stakeholders in the city. And then we also send out the same notification in collaboration with Community Engagement Division to the residents via emails, next door neighbor, through electronic notifications of HOAs to the HOAs and neighborhood associations. And then we mobilize staff and we go out and put out the signs. You have seen these signs over here in the neighborhoods. The one with red writings is normally the warning sign. This is to ask people to protect themselves because there was a positive mosquito sample in that area. And we normally put them about 0.5 mile radius, half a mile radius around the site of the trap. And if we were to spray the area, this other sign here in black, if you see this one in black, West Nile Virus spraying area, that's when we decide to spray and we put out these signs on the streets. So what we also do is, apart from warning people, we also visit and survey the area to check whether there are any breeding grounds for mosquito. So we check if there's any standing water, heavily shaded areas, if there are a lot of trash, like old tires and all that around that area. And sometimes if we find standing water, we check if there are mosquito larvae and we apply larvicide on the water. So most of the time when we have positives, when you have one positive, we don't spray right away. When you have 2 to 3 consecutively within 2 or 3 weeks, that's when we consult with the University of North Texas Health Science Center to determine the appropriate level of response, based on the positive patterns in that area, and also check the risk level of the disease. And then once we decide to spray or not to spray, then we take appropriate action based on that decision. So throughout the year, we do education. We provide handouts to citizens through like neighborhood association meetings and other events. Even sometimes we used to have, this year we don't have events like Mayfest and other events, but we normally have like a stand in any event where we provide information and give out handouts of like flyers for homeowners, or for residents to see if they have any of the conditions that may attract mosquito in their neighborhoods or around their homes. So we normally give them, if you can be able to see that fly over there, it have a checklist, check whether you have unclogged your cutters, whether you have drained your flower pots and other pots or containers around your yard. Also, sometimes you may need to apply mosquito larvicide, like dunks. We supplied some dunks to the libraries, and hope they may not be enough, but those are the dunks that we use to kill the larvae. And there's a long list of what residents are supposed to check whether they have disposed any unused tires, or whether they have unnecessary toys in their yards, those wheelbarrows that help us to move stuff around, are they upside down when we are not using them? Any container. We also check tree if there are any holes on the trees. Those are also very good hiding grounds for mosquitoes. So we normally advise that you fill those holes in the trees with either sand or cement. Check for any leaking of pipes outside, leaking faucets that may be outside there, or even sometimes the condensation of the air conditioners on top of the roof. Sometimes they leak, and at the back of your yard where you may not be seeing, some water may accumulate or make that place be moist. Anywhere where it is moist, mosquito can be able to lay their eggs, and those eggs can be able to hatch. Even also the small containers, even the bottle tops, as small as they may be, can hold water, and that water can hatch a mosquito. So it's always good to look around, clean, scrub, rake dry leaves underneath your trees around the house. So we also pass this information through Twitter, Facebook, as I said before, neighborhood emails. We normally solicit emails from the residents so that we can be able to pass out this information as quick as possible. And anytime we have neighborhood meetings, we try to attend. We send someone to attend so that if citizens have questions, they can be able to be answered or to be addressed. Or if there are any problem of standing water, we'll be able to address it as early as possible before they become breeding grounds for mosquitoes. The main way of making sure that we don't get infected with West Nile virus is to take precautions, preventive measures. Some of them are just common sense measures, like removing all tiles from our neighborhoods or close to residential houses. Those are very good breeding grounds for mosquito because they trap water, and that water sits there for a week. And as you have seen from the beginning of this presentation, that it takes only 7 days for the mosquito to hatch and develop into an adult. So it's that quick. So it's always advisable to drain all standing water in our neighborhoods, especially our yards, to eliminate any breeding grounds. Try to look around, empty a turnover or cover any container or any items that may hold water. As I've said, such as tires, all packets that people are not using, toys, bird parts are very good, flower pots, those trash containers that sits for a long time in our yards. It's good to look around and see if there's any standing water, just flip them over. And then we normally encourage citizens, whenever they're outdoors during the mosquito season, to wear light colored clothes, preferably long sleeve shirts and pants. And if they're able to get mosquito repellents, especially those containing DEET, DEET. Those are the ones recommended by EPA. If they can be able to use those sprays when they're outdoors, can be able to repel mosquito bites. And in our houses, we also encourage to, install screens on windows and doors. And if there are any holes on the existing screens, it's always good to maintain or repair them to make sure that we keep mosquitoes outdoors. We've had cases where mosquitoes goes into the house and bites people at night. And then if you can be able to have those larvicides, mosquito dunks, handy in your house, that will be great, so that you can, if you see any standing water that you cannot be able to drain, you can throw those in there, and they're really very effective in killing those larvae. That's a picture of a mosquito dung. It looks like a donut, and most over the years, about the last 3-4 years, we have been cutting dungs to provide to the citizens from the county government. And those are the ones that we distribute through libraries, neighborhood association meetings, and any other events, public events. So we have different types or forms of larvicides. We have liquid forms, which we don't normally keep to residents, but we can use sometimes when there is a heightened mosquito activity. In some other states, like Florida or even Louisiana, where they have a high mosquito activity, they actually use machines that are mounted on the trucks. They can spray large areas with these larvicides. But we don't do that one here in Texas, especially here in the Metroplex. The dunks are the ones that we normally provide. They are minimally they are very harmless. We have some that comes in tablets forms, pellet forms, and we have the granules that we use here in the department. You see those pictures. Those are some of our team members that go out. We check the top picture there, shows officers checking for the presence of larvae in standing water. Then the second one shows actual larviciding, putting those granular larvae on standing water in areas where most of the time soft grounds. We have trucks that pass, some soft ground, and they leave deep ruts. When it rains, it holds water. Most of the time, those are the most dangerous ones, because we have found a lot of mosquito larvae in those waters. Adulticiting is actually the spray that we do. We normally use truck-mounted machines to fog along the streets. We normally do that at night. And when we do that is only when that decision is made that the level or the risk level is high for people to get infected with West Nile virus. That's when you see us coming out and doing the spray missions. So the chemical that is normally used is very, very dilute, and that can only be delivered through fog. And we do that at night, and the vehicle will always move at a speed of about 20 miles per hour, between 5 and 20 miles per hour. Also the wind, we also check on the wind speed. But the wind speed is around 5 and 10 miles per hour. That's the best time that we do it. If it is too high, we do not do it. or if it is too low. So as I said, it normally takes place at night. That's when this kind of mosquito that spreads West Nile virus is very active. Most of the time it's at night. And it's also advantageous in that there is no much activity on the streets at night. So we normally do that between 9 p.m. all the way to maybe 3 a.m. in the morning. So normally the chemical use does not harm people, it does not harm pets, doesn't harm animals, neither does it harm the environment. And that chemical, most of the time, it disintegrates or dissipates quickly as soon as the sun, rises. Sunlight degrades the chemical quickly. So it's normally a biodegradable chemical, which is, degraded and absorbed into the environment. So it is not harmful at all. But we normally advise people to stay indoors if they know we are spraying, and keep pets and our kids indoors. This is kind of a summary of what we do throughout the year, off season and on season. As I said, off season, we normally spend time planning for the next season and trying to look at our data, how it was the previous year, and how we are supposed to respond the coming year. We also take inventory of our equipment and our chemicals and everything so that we are ready for the coming season. During that time, we also go out and talk to citizens. We do outreach activities. When the season starts around April, May, we still do the same, but we increase our surveillance, and we do a lot of larviciding, especially in the parks area and in the creeks. In the middle of the season, when we start isolating positive cases, we still continue doing the same education outreach, surveillance, and then we add heightened larviciding. We also do targeted sprays as may be decided based on the level of the risk from West Nile virus. So it's normally optional. But sometimes when there is consecutive positive cases 3 times in an area, the decision is one, that we do a targeted ground spraying. I think in 2015, the Tarrant County and the Dallas County, they carried out aerial spraying from the planes, and that is what is right now. They may do it this year because we have high mosquito activity and we have high positive West Nile virus in mosquitoes. So the Tarrant County, they have started talking about it. They may do it, but if things improve for the better, then that is normally reserved as a last resort. So they may do it or they may not do it, depending on where we are heading to as we go towards the end of this month and starting next month. But as I said, we're actually probably approaching the end of the season, and the mosquito levels may drastically go down. So we do consider a lot of factors before any spraying activity is done. So it's normally consultation with stakeholders, with experts, to see whether that spraying is actually necessary, because it's our last resort that we apply. All right, I think that is all I have for now. I'm sure you may have a number of questions.
Yeah, we did have some questions come in, and for those of you who are still in that can see the chat, I should have addressed this before, but if you can see the chat, you can feel free to put any questions in there, or you can use the Q&A box below. So one of the other questions that we had come in was, in your opinion, what is the number one thing that residents can do to reduce the mosquito population in Fort Worth? Like, what should be our good takeaway that we should start practicing?
Yeah, the number one thing is just to take care of our environment, take care of our yards, our lawns, make sure that you cut our grass low all the time, and remove any equipment or any materials that can trap water, or flip them, like all toys, those containers that you are not using anymore, the wheelbarrows, they said. Also check tree holes, if you can, close those holes with sand or cement. But the most important thing is just to look around for anything that can trap water. Is a good is a good material that can trap water, because a mosquito that needs that small amount of water to lay that egg and develop.
Awesome. So why do you think that some areas are affected by West Nile than others, and why do you think that? What causes the hot spots that we see?
Yeah, let me go back to that. This year we've had our hotspots are mainly concentrated northeast of the city, and also northeast of the county. And this area we have a lot of parks and a lot of creeks and a lot of shaded areas. Where we have that kind of environment, we have birds, right? Because we have the parks and the trees and all that, and then those creeks and we have a lot of water trapping areas in the parks, especially Arcadia. So this year alone, we have done I think 3 larviciding activity in the Arcadia Park, because we knew that this area is a hot area. So we started early to larvicide, but despite the fact that we did larvicide, we still see high numbers. We normally use a CADA or a ATV, drive around and drop those larvicides. So I don't know if I answered that question. The main reasons why we have hotspots is those large swaths of heavily shaded areas that also have creeks and have standing water, and that happens when there's rain and the rain stops for a long time. We have that water, standing there for a long time, and it becomes like a permanent breeding ground for mosquitoes. So, but when we have, if it was rain, heavy rains like every week, it kind of sweeps it away.
Right.
But if there's rain 1 week and it stops for 2-3 weeks, then we have a danger there. So we normally go out and look for those areas after, like if it rains and after 1 week, there's not rain, we go out to look for those areas where we have like standing water, because that water standing for 1, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, very good breeding ground. So, and we had those kind of conditions this year.
Great. So we have another one about the easiest and safest way to reduce the number of mosquitoes around your home. So I know you talked about, making sure there's no standing water.
Yes.
Did you have any other tips for those who are trying to cut down on mosquitoes, but maybe not want to have any kind of chemicals around?
Most of the time we use chemicals as a last resort. So if we can be able to take care of our lawns by just, cutting the grass low and removing any equipment that can trap water. Also raking our flower beds, make sure, we don't leave it we need to disturb those flower beds, because if it stays moist, even those dry leaves covers that ground, as long as it's moist, those mosquitoes will lay eggs and they will hatch. So it's always good to rake them out, clean out anything that can hold water and make that place moist or right? So
Definitely. Awesome.
there are some things that we disregard because we think they are, we ignore them, but those are the most areas where mosquito can breed. So it's always good to keep everything clean and clear.
Great. Yeah, definitely. So if you were to say, one key takeaway that our audience should kind of take with them and kind of go forth, what would you say would be your opinion on that?
The takeaway is if you, I mean, if you can be able to get at least about 3 or 4 of whatever is in that checklist, but most of the time it's draining. And we have four Ds. The first D is the mosquitoes are active from dusk to dawn. So those are the times that people need to be cautious or take precautions, that they need to wear long sleeved, light clothes with pants, if possible, if they have to be outdoors at that time. The second D is to drain any standing water. The third one is to use a DEET containing repellents, right? So dress, drain, dawn to dusk. If you can pay attention to those that principle, you can be able to know how to avoid being bitten by mosquito.
Awesome. Oh, well, yeah, I think that's a really great resource for those who are wanting to cut down on the mosquitoes around your home and be sure that you are guarding yourself against them. So I don't see any more questions coming in. I think we just have some affirmative that answered my question. Thank you, which is awesome.
So our contact phone number, if there are any concerns that you want us to come out or you want to ask questions, and just call 817-392-1234. That's the call center number. You can also call us direct to Consumer Health, 817-392-7255. As soon as we receive your concerns, we'll always assign someone to talk to you or to visit and be able to find out what's going on in your area.
Great. And I've put those numbers in chat for those who want to write those down. That way you have them. This presentation will also be uploaded to the library's YouTube channel for viewing later on if you would like to recommend it and share it with your friends. Thank you, Charles, for coming out. We love working with Code. We've worked with Code for years and really enjoy having them out. So we thank you so much for this presentation and having you out. And so I really hope that this gave everyone a good understanding of mosquitoes and how to protect yourself and your family and make sure that you stay the best healthy that you can be. So thank you again. We hope you all have a great week. Thank you again, Charles, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Katie, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
Bye-bye.